This is Al Jensen, and you are listening to Unstoppable Body and Mind, episode 139, The Five Love Languages for Yourself.
In this podcast, we learn to upgrade our brain and understand the power of our thoughts, to heal and to create the results we want in our life. Become the person in control of your healing and make peace with your life. Become unstoppable, body and mind.
Hello, my loves. If you're listening to this about the time that I'm recording it, it's just about Valentine's Day. There are a lot of people talking about love out there. And I just really, over the last few years, just believe that one of the most important things in healing chronic pain, neuroplastic pain, and in just having a better life is self-love. Self-love is so important. If I could help people change one thing about themselves, it would be to love themselves more. And there is actually research showing that self-love, self-compassion, positive self-talk can help you regulate your emotions, your stress, and change how your nervous system responds to pain. So last year at this time, I heard a couple of different places, people talking about the five love languages and applying them to self-love. And I even went through kind of a workshop with Bella Lively, and we went through this with the Love Club, this coaching program that I did last year. And I think the first exercise we did was this idea of the five love languages and how they apply to ourselves. But let's just first talk about what the five love languages are if you are not familiar. The love language idea is from a book saying that different people can give or receive love in different ways. Usually you have one or two prominent love languages. That's your preferred way of receiving love and usually also giving love as well. So as I go through these, I want you to think for yourself in what ways you most like to be shown that you're loved. There's words of affirmation, being complimented, nice texts, saying nice things, quality time, spending one-on-one time with someone, being present. Receiving gifts is pretty much like it sounds, little tokens of appreciation. It doesn't have to be big gifts, but feeling loved when someone takes the effort to get something for you and give it to you. There's acts of service, someone maybe doing the dishes for you or helping you out with something, doing a job that makes your life a little easier to show that you're loved. And then there's physical touch, cuddling, hugging, touching, all the things that can be involved with physical touch as a way of showing love. So you could think about or even write down your favorite ways to feel loved from the five love languages, and then your favorite ways to give love. Maybe they're the same, maybe they're different. And then you might think about your loved ones around you and what their love languages are. You could maybe guess or you could ask them. But if you're giving love the way you like to receive love and their love language is different, it's like talking different languages. So maybe you do some acts of service for someone because that is their love language. And for someone else, you do more words of affirmation or gifts. So now that we've thought of our own love languages, how others might have their own love languages and what they might be, I want you to think about the five love languages and how you could show yourself something from each of these categories, maybe even from each of these categories every day. But you can even just start with picking one. So let's first talk about words of affirmation. This is so important. If you have a harsh inner critic, you are just basically stressing out your nervous system all the time by being mean to yourself. You're like a bully. And usually it's like something that we heard growing up and we've kind of internalized that voice. And somehow we think that it will make us better as a person if we're really harsh on ourselves. But this is something I really had to work on when I started learning about coaching. It was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And I was so bad about talking about myself. That sounds like a judgment right there. But I used to do this thing where I would be pretty rude about myself. I would say things like, oh man, I am just so forgetful. My brain is such a mess. Oh, I can't keep it together. Oh, I'm falling apart. Just things that were pretty derogatory. And I actually thought that it made me feel more like relatable and that it made people comfortable, maybe. And now when I hear people talking about themselves like that, I just get uncomfortable hearing them say mean things about themselves, calling themselves stupid. I used to say that kind of stuff. I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm so stupid. Oh, but our brain is listening, our body is listening. When we are telling ourselves these things, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. Our words are like spells. And so for me, what I first started with is actually just not speaking out loud some of those things I was thinking in my head. It was just a lot because I was pretty negative about myself, just thought that was the right way to do it, and wondered why I was always unhappy. So then I started noticing what I was saying out loud. Really, that felt like something I could control at first, and then working towards being nicer and nicer to myself. I even noticed recently that I was kind of having some negative self-talk, just kind of like disappointed, like, dang it, damn it, something, just swear or something. And it was like a negative vibe. And so I started kind of just switching that to oopsie, or just kind of like more like you would be maybe with a kid or a toddler. Oh, that's okay. Oopsie daisy, and it's been a lot lighter. And I actually do think I drop things less because I'm not as focused on how negative it is when it happens. So, with words of affirmation, just that narrative in your head that's always going on, can try to notice that first. That's the first step. Even if you can just start really thinking of just becoming that observer of your thoughts, almost like another entity or person listening to the thoughts and just being like, oh, that sounds kind of mean, or, not that you have to judge it, but meaning like noticing how that feels when you say that. Maybe even thinking a little bit about where you got that. A lot of times there was like a parent or caregiver that would say things like, you're too much, just calm down, or that was so stupid. Maybe they even were saying that about themselves, and now we're copying their dialogue and we're saying it. Anything, though, that is like stressful or fear inducing or mean, anything that is scary is going to trigger that nervous system, and it's going to actually increase cortisol, increase the inflammation in your body. Like literally, your self-talk can affect your inflammation markers. And then if you were really trying to do like one little extra thing to do those words of affirmation for yourself, maybe you send yourself a little text or write yourself a little note that you can see saying something like I love the phrase, I'm the best me, or hey girly, I love you. You could be silly about it, but it could be fun. Another thing you could do for words of affirmation, I used to do this quite a bit, is think about your future self, yourself in 5 years, or even yourself the beginning of next year, whatever you want. Think of some future self where whatever you have that's a problem right now isn't a problem anymore, and have that future self write to you. So you imagine this future self and you start journaling. Hey, Al, you're doing so great. I'm so proud of you. It gets easier. Keep going. Those kind of things. And then quality time. Let's talk about quality time with yourself. Are you a multitasker? It is sometimes hard to slow down, sometimes hard to just take a break and do one thing without multitasking, without being on your phone and watching a show. So maybe you think of something you really enjoy doing and just doing that. Maybe you take some extra time as you're drinking your coffee to just sit there and not read something and not listen to something and just enjoy the taste and the smell. And maybe you do a little walk. It doesn't even have to be a big walk, but you go outside and just sit or walk and look at nature, really observe what's going on with your senses, your sight, smell, taste, touch, all of these things. Maybe you just really savor that time when you get home and you sit in your car and decompress before you go in, and you don't judge yourself for that. So you could just think of any of these kinds of little moments of time that you can be present with yourself and not thinking about the things you need to do, thinking about the future or thinking about the past, but just really being in the moment and noticing what's around you. Sound like another way of calming your nervous system? Yeah, Exactly, it is. Then there's receiving gifts. This can be fun. You don't have to go crazy and think you have to buy, diamond earrings or something, unless that's something that's, pleasurable for you. It's not stressful for you, brings you joy. Absolutely. You could buy yourself expensive gifts. You could make yourself a gift. You could pick yourself some flowers, buy a little cheap bouquet that you liven up your room with, or have a little treat that's just yours. You don't have to share it with anyone else. Or maybe you just go and get a drink that you really like. And when we're talking about receiving gifts from ourselves, I was just also thinking about how we receive in general, how we receive a compliment. If you're trying to give something to someone and they keep rejecting it, it can be annoying. So, working on just receiving little gifts, little compliments, and then thinking of that for yourself. If you're doing this positive self-talk, are you actually accepting it too? Are you saying, like, I love you, you're safe, but you're like annoyed? This little toddler self is acting up again, and you're like, oh, I love you, you're safe, come on, stop. Or you receiving that. So think of little gifts for yourself, think of receiving, that would fill that one. And then acts of service. I love this one. It's little things that you might do for yourself to make your life easier for your future self. So maybe you lay out your clothes the night before, or make your breakfast the night before, or maybe you go to bed early and give yourself that extra gift of a little extra sleep. And I have this fun little game that I play with myself where if I say I'm like looking for a bobby pin or something, and I look over in the, thing in my car and I find one and I'm like, thanks, past self. Like I had somehow like planted that there in my past to come in handy in just this moment. And it's a fun little game of kind of like, I'm doing this little act of service for myself, prepping this thing, or just being excited about like things that kind of work out that you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did this for myself. You can be like, thanks, past self. So then physical touch, get your minds out of the gutter. No, I'm just kidding. Physical touch, I would say, self-touch, self-play can be an important nervous system regulating tool. I'm not going to really be talking about it here, but I do have an episode with Danielle Savory, a sex coach, talking about the importance of intimacy. But really what I'm talking about here with the physical touch is maybe you just put your hand on your heart and breathe. Maybe you give yourself a hug, or that butterfly hug that's tapping one side and then the other. Maybe you actually do tapping. That can be a really nice way to calm the nervous system, EFT tapping. You could wrap yourself up in a blanket and really enjoy the sensation of that. You could notice how your body is feeling in the shower. And as you're washing your body, really be present with that. Or if you're putting on lotion, same type of thing, just really noticing the touch of your body. Sometimes in a meditation I've done, you put your hand on your body somewhere and you notice that feeling of your hand feeling your body. And then you can also notice that feeling of your body feeling your hand. Or, like, I know when my stomach would get upset, I would do belly breathing and I'd put my hand on my stomach, breathe all the way into my belly, inflate it. And it actually took away a lot of pain. So, any things that come to mind that involve physical touch, that you're not depending on someone else for, and involve calming your nervous system could be in that category. I'm curious to know if you guys have any other ideas that you came up with in each of these categories. I tried to give a few examples of each, but of course, listen to what works best for you. Don't try to fit what I'm saying into your to-do list. This is the opposite. This is asking yourself, what would feel good? What would bring you joy? What would make you happy? How would you feel love? It's not selfish. It actually is one of the kindest things you can do for the people around you is to show yourself self-love. Not to mention, like I said before, all of the wonderful things it does for your health, your immune system, and for decreasing pain and tension in the body. So, thanks for listening. Love you guys so much. Go love on yourselves this week and have a great week. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a little bit about your brain today that helps you in your life like it helped me. Please be sure and subscribe and leave a review. And of course, be sure and share this podcast with someone you know that wants an unstoppable body and mind.